Okay, so we are going to work very self-paced through the rest of our data lessons. So we're going to start with the scatterplot doodle notes. And scatterplots is an 8th grade standard. And it is basically being able to plot what we call bivariate data that is from two different data collected, two different numerical data sets. So I know this is small and I know you can't read very well, but this is age right here, and then this is teaspoons of sugar per cup. So I apologize for you not being able to read that. And so we take this bivariate data and we move it onto our graph here. So we can call the x-axis age in years, and we can call our y-axis the amount of sugar in teaspoons. That says TSP for teaspoons. Okay? And so what we're going to do is plot these points as if they're ordered pairs. So that says 7 and 1.2, so we're going to go over to what is almost 7 here, and we're going to go up, and so this is 1, 2 right here. And so that's our first data set. Okay, the next one is 15, 1. Pay very close attention to your numbers, your ranges here. They're obviously very different numbers, right? Then we have 35, which is here, and 0.3, which is 1, 2, 3 right there. And we have 18.8. 18.6, 29.6, 44.7, 53.0, and then 51 and 0.5. Okay, and so that's our data sets, and you see they're kind of all over the map. We're going to talk about the correlation, and so data plots have, or I'm sorry, scatter plots have a lot of dots. Okay, scatter plots have lots of dots, and those dots can be one of 3 different correlations. So we can say that there is a positive correlation, and that means it's going up. We can say that there is a negative correlation, which means it's going down. Okay, or we can say there is no correlation, and that means it's just kind of all over the place and there's not a pattern to it. So this data set, we can see it's going down, so it has a negative correlation. It doesn't have to be a straight line, it's just a negative correlation, okay? And so let's put a title on here because we want to make sure that we are being good graphers. So the title is going to be amount of sugar people put in their cups. Amount of sugar people put in their cups is your title. Okay, so now we're going to talk about a trend line. And a trend line is basically a straight line that shows the trend of the data. Trend is another word for your correlation over here, but it goes further than just saying it's positive, negative, or no correlation, and it's something that we can create an equation from, and we can make predictions about future trends from that. And so you're going to need a ruler. So if you don't have one, go get one now. Okay. And you're going to look at your data here, and you want to kind of split it evenly. And so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 data points, and I want to kind of split it. Let's see the best way you can see this. I want to kind of split it. See right here I have 3 underneath, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4 on top. If I move it just a little bit more, like right here looks really good to me. just kind of right on the edge of this point right here. And the thing about trend lines, guys, is that my trend line and your trend line, they may be slightly different because it's about where I see the best place for the data. Now, while they may be slightly different, they should also both represent the data well. Okay, so here's my trend line. You notice I have 1, 2, 3, 4 above, 1, 2, 3, 4 below, and then it's kind of crossing through 1. This is a really good line that approximates the data. When you get a graphing calculator, you can perfect the trend line. The graphing calculator will actually calculate the distance between the points and the line and average that out and come up with this whole process for how to get the exact line. But for you and I, it's an approximation of what best represents the data. Okay? All right. Let's look at the bottom here. Trend line is also called the line of best fit. The line of best fit. Okay? So, what type of correlation do you see in the graph above? We already talked about that it was a negative correlation because it's moving down. Which would you expect to be more likely for a 38-year-old? 0.2 teaspoons, 0.5 teaspoons, or 1.1 teaspoons? So you want to go to 38 on your graph for age, and you want to go up to about where it falls in your trend line and look over, and that's below 0.5 but above 0.3. So your options are 0.2, 0.5, or 1.1. Well, 1.1 is excessively above for a 38-year-old. 1.1 would be all the way up here. Well, that's completely off our graph. 0.2 would be right here, which is also off our graph. So what we're looking for is 0.5 because that falls within the data set. So we would say 0.5 teaspoons. And that's our prediction about our data, okay? What type of correlation would you expect between these two variables, and explain why? X is the number of minutes taken to deliver a pizza, and Y is the number of stars given on the customer service rating. So if you think about that, if you take a long time to get a pizza, you're not going to give very good stars, you're not going to give a good rating. So that's going to give you a negative correlation, and we don't have a whole lot of room in our box, so we're not going to write the explanation, but you understand that satisfaction will decrease the longer you have to wait for something, okay? Whereas the faster you deliver the pizza, the better your stars are going to be, okay? So use a ruler to draw a trend line that overlays the graph with the same number of dots on each side of the line. Now that's not always possible, but we do our very best, okay? So that is your scatter plots. That is going to be the first of our scatter plots pages. This is going to go on the left-hand side.